Hi class, today we are going to be learning about the sum of angles in triangles and quadrilaterals. Just a reminder that quadrilaterals is any four-sided shape. So what I would like you to do before we continue is I want you to pause this video and I want you to add up each angle in all the triangles and see if you can figure out the pattern of the sum of angles in a triangle. Interestingly, when I add up the angles of the first triangle, I get 180. And when I add up the angles of the second triangle, I get 180. And also when I add up the angles of the third triangle, I get 180. But they're all different triangles with different angles. So must be a coincidence.
Not a coincidence. Triangles add up to 180.
So based on this mathematical law, we can find the missing angle in any triangle. If all these angles need to add up to 180, then we can use algebra to solve. If 82 plus 55 plus the unknown angle must equal 180 degrees, then we can just isolate x by subtracting 82 and 55 from both sides. So I add 82 plus 55 to get 137, then I subtract 137 from each side. That cancels this out, leaving only x. So x equals 43 degrees, and then we look back at our original angle and we ask, does that make sense? And it does, because it's an acute angle and it's an acute angle. In our next example, we have an isosceles triangle, and we know it's isosceles because it's telling us that two of the side lengths are the same, but it's also telling us that one angle is 116 degrees, and then we have two unknown angles. But how are we supposed to figure out the missing angles if two of them are unknown? So the first thing we have to understand is in an isosceles triangle, if two of the side lengths are the same, that means two of the angles are going to be identical. Which two angles? So I remember the two angles because these lines that indicate that these two side lengths are the same are actually pointing to the angles that are going to be identical. So if you follow the lines, they are going to lead you to the two angles that are going to be identical. So this angle and this angle are going to be the same value. And once we know they're identical, we can use algebra to solve. So I know that my triangle is going to add up to 180. So therefore 116 plus b is going to equal 180. I collect like terms by combining both b's into 2b, and then I subtract 116 from each side. I then divide both sides by 2 to get b alone. And I get my final answer of b equals 32 degrees, which means this angle is 32 degrees and this angle is 32 degrees. If I want to check my work, I just simply add all three angles up and make sure they equal 180. What I would like you to do again is pause the video, add up the angles of these three quadrilaterals, and see if you can figure out the pattern for the sum of angles in a quadrilateral. Interestingly, they all add up to 360 degrees. Must be another coincidence.
It's not a coincidence! Quadrilaterals add up to 360.
For our last example, we have a quadrilateral, and we know that angles in a quadrilateral add up to 360. So again, I can use algebra to solve for my missing angle. The first step is I write my equation, making sure all my angles add up to 360 degrees. Then I combine like terms to simplify. Adds up to a nice whole number of 300. Then I subtract 300 from both sides. And for my final answer, I get 60 degrees. Again, I could check my work to make sure by adding up all the side lengths and making sure that they add up to 360 degrees. Thank you for watching. Please let me know if you have any questions.